And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the NBA 2020's edition. We'll be trying to come up with the best duos from the 2020's. And I know what you're thinking. The 2020's aren't over with. And we know, but we needed an even number for our tournament afterwards. So we included the 2020's, which will be an interesting discussion considering, we don't have any multi-time champions to talk about. And it's a short little part of a decade here, but we're going to do it anyway. Housekeeping issues. We thought Drew was here. He was here. He left. He said he was coming right back, and then now he's not come back, and it's been forever. We're not sure what's going on. Rest in peace, Drew. I don't know.
Underlay, Drew, underlay.
So maybe he'll walk in midway through the episode. We'll see. He can try and catch up. But that being said, we have a guest again. David has actually decided to come back and join us again, a second week in a row. So welcome back, David.
Thanks. Nice to be back.
Yeah. So maybe his Celtics will play a bigger role in this argument today.
Possibility.
They do have one of those 5 championships from this decade.
Yeah.
The most recent. We don't want to have recency bias, but I mean, hey. But anyway, so here we are, and let's get started. Uncle Doug, who is your number 2 duo from the 2020's?
My number 2 duo is Giannis and Middleton.
Oh, they're also my number 2 duo.
Hey, Doug, is your mic on?
Sorry, my mic was off. Giannis and Middleton.
Giannis Middleton.
Yeah, does this mean Uncle Doug had them?
I think so.
I don't have them. I thought about them.
I was very tall.
They were probably my number 3.
Yeah, they were close third.
Yeah.
I kind of went back and forth between them and my other one.
So, okay, of course, they got a title. Giannis averaged during their 4 years 29-9, 11-5, and 6. Middleton's 18-2, 5.2, and 5.3. Giannis got a couple all Ds. There was a lot of good duos like that spaced out over one title apiece and not a huge amount of accolades. Giannis's MVPs were before. So I thought they were a worthy pair to put in there.
No, I agree.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so it's Drew.
Buenos noches.
Where's the burrito?
Oh, Drew walked in after we talked about our first duo. The bum that he is.
Yeah, you made me go first since you weren't here.
Hola. I don't have them. So I'm gonna shoot you straight. Who's the other one that has them?
Alex and I.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, you knew I wasn't going to pick nobody from fucking Milwaukee.
You don't pick
I
any.
forgot about this. I forgot
he hates
about
Giannis too.
He hates everybody in the Eastern Conference, unless it's a Wizard or a Piston, because they haven't been relevant.
Fucking Washington and their glam club. I don't want to fucking be talking about them.
Oh, I guess it's just the Pistons. They've been relevant since the 90s.
Yeah.
That's not true. They won a title in like 2006.
I forget about that. I try to forget about that.
The Pistons.
Or 4.
Oh, 4. Okay, yeah. I think 06 was the Heat with Dwayne Wade and Shaq, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, probably right.
Yeah, because 04. Yeah, they won in 04. They beat the Lakers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, beat the Lakers.
Yeah, that's why I try to forget about it, Alex.
Anyway, Uncle Doug, you have anything to add about Giannis and Middleton before we move on?
No, that's about it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Wade, who is your duo to bring to us?
I went with Jokic and Jamal Murray.
They're my number 1.
They're my number 1.
They're my number 2.
They're my number 1.
So I'm out.
So, yes, my number. I'll go with my number 2 is Joker Murray.
They're unanimous?
All 6 of us?
All 6?
Yeah, I
said
got
you
him.
had 'em too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All
Everyone got them.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet
Okay.
deal.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'll make it simple here. Joker's won 3 of the 4 MVPs.
Arguably, it could be all 4.
Yeah, should probably have all 4.
We'll talk about that later.
Numbers. That's the MVP.
Oh,
we're
that's
waiting.
well, yeah. You can't discuss the other 3 because
And Jamal Murray, while he doesn't have hardly any accolades at all, he is a very good player, and he's one of the best playoff performers during parts of this
Yeah.
time, which I think is kind of his big thing. He's a huge playoff performer. The year they won the championship, for the entire playoff run, he averaged 26 points, 5.5 boards, and 7 assists, which is pretty elite numbers. Which is why he is, Jokic's go-to teammate, because he's very talented scorer and is extremely, extremely clutch in the playoffs.
Well, let's be honest. I think Jamal Murray's actual numbers are a little underrated as far as what he's able to put up. But the biggest problem with Jamal Murray is he doesn't play a lot.
Yeah, he has injury problems.
But no, when he busted on the scene there in the bubble, because I remember him and Donovan Mitchell, when they had those battles, each of them would drop like 50 a night. It was just who could outscore the other one.
It was like what, 3 straight nights they scored 50 points?
It was crazy. I remember watching
fun to watch.
That was like really his coming out party was there in the bubble.
It was, yeah.
And he's been Jokic's wingman.
Yep.
I mean, in this decade, this is the number of games played for these 4 years. 48, 0, 65, 59.
So he wasn't really eligible for all the accolades because he didn't play enough games.
He's not eligible for any of them, yeah.
Yeah,
That's rough.
I think if I'm looking at the right series, that you said it's the year against Utah, right, in the bubble?
Yeah.
I think if I have the right year, during that series, he averaged almost 32 points a game, with like 6 assists.
No, yeah. So, yeah.
So he was
Wait, but isn't the bubble year the asterisk year?
something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess we just got to discredit his numbers anyway.
Fair point.
Yeah, I definitely don't count that title for LeBron.
If you don't count the title for LeBron, you don't count the points for Murray.
Murray goes down the pooper. Yeah. We've never really talked too much about the bubble title too much, have we?
Yeah, I don't think we do.
Nobody
It
does.
doesn't
It
get
doesn't
brought up much.
exist.
It's actually a topic of LeBron we've never really hit on too much, although it is a very popular topic by other people.
Indeed.
But
All right. Well, does anybody have anything to add on Murray and Joker before we move on?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think what put them at the number 2 spot for me is that it's harder for me to definitively say that Murray is a number 2 guy. I mean, he does show it in his stats, but if you really watch the Nuggets play, like, Jokic is the central person of their offense, and depending on their matchups, the play is kind of all over the place on who he facilitates. So,
Jokic just feed the open guy.
yeah, and I think on any given night, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope could be the number 2 guy, or Michael Porter Jr. could be the number 2 guy, and I think sometimes I get that, like, wishy-washiness from
Don't
Jamal
forget
Murray.
about my guy AG. Okay.
Aaron Gordon.
He is a
He is good.
Isn't KCP in Orlando now, Alex?
Indeed, he is.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I put it at number 2 is just because I felt like
Yeah.
he's not consistently the dude. He's a good playoff performer, but not much of a regular season guy.
I agree.
All right. Fair enough. So who has somebody left?
I do.
Oh, pretty much everybody. So Ray, who you got, buddy?
Well, I think it'd be proper for me to defer to the Celtics fan for this last
okay.
drop.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Defer to me.
yep,
Obviously, Tatum and Brown.
yep.
Yes, that is my other duo as well.
That's mine as well. And Roberts.
I'm sure.
Me and
Yeah.
Robert have talked about it for months since the beginning.
Another Celtics fan from the
And
podcast.
once they won, it was over. He said, "There's no doubt."
One of our other semi-frequent guests on this podcast is a Celtics fan. So
Good man.
So is that just 4?
yeah, I don't have him.
I don't have them.
Oh, geez. Don't tell me it's a Laker.
No, we're done.
No,
already.
no,
Oh, you guys already got 'em?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay,
done. We're
good.
both done.
I was about to say, don't make me throw up again.
That's 12. Yeah, that's all
Oh, you
it
thought
was.
they were going to put LeBron and Davis?
Yeah.
Well, I thought about
You
it.
talk about missing games.
Depending on how the arguments go, I might bring them up.
Oh no!
Well, I can make a point.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of can. They took down the Nuggets. I mean, they didn't make it to a championship that year, but I mean,
What year was the bubble title? 2020?
Yeah, it's 2020, so they
Okay.
did. Yeah,
but I mean, they took down the Nuggets last year
Yeah.
to advance, and I think that's notable.
Yeah,
too
but
for-
if we count the bubble title in this decade, we have to count Giannis MVP and Defensive Player of the Year because he actually was awarded that in 20.
Yeah, that was.
did you guys not count that?
So
I
did not
didn't.
count it?
I just counted 21, 22, 23, 24.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
I don't know.
so it doesn't matter to me. Whatever you guys want to do.
We don't have the Lakers up there, so we don't really have
Yeah,
to debate
yeah.
the bubble title, I guess.
Well, I guess with the whole bubble thing, I got a question. What did we do? What they do in the strike years when they played less games?
Right. Yeah.
Is that years from now? Is that what it's going to be called? Or are people going to call the bubble like another strike thing? It's just going to be a shortened season. What we call like. I mean, all the other reasons and all the other sports have been like strike seasons and stuff, but like in the future, we're just going to go back and look at that as just another regular year.
How short? It wasn't
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
it'll probably
I
slowly
don't know.
get
I don't know how short it was.
forgotten a little
that.
bit.
Yeah, I
over
think they
time.
played like 70 games. Because it wasn't the regular season that got. It was like it was towards the end of
We
the
were like
regular
in March.
season.
It was March.
Yeah, it was March when the
they wanted
shutdown
to get
happened.
the playoffs and stuff in, so they just put them all together. And
I just want like all of us right now. Yeah, we all say it, but like in the future, what are they going to think of it? So they're just going to say, "Oh, that's just like another strike year."
As long as they're still LeBron fans,
Oh,
they're going to be accepted by everyone.
I think the bubble was such a rare incident, it might remain in its own unique thing, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, I don't know. I just don't know how all those sports years are going to be like that because all of them are different.
You never know.
Right.
All of them, all the major sports franchises, obviously besides football, because football was over by then. The other three did that. They all went somewhere. Like hockey, all of them went to Canada. They went to Edmonton and Toronto, and they played their things. Baseball went to Texas.
Yeah.
The Rangers' new base, and then obviously NBA went to Orlando.
They played 72 games that year.
Okay. So that's.
So I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did it really have a huge impact on the competition? I mean,
I don't think it had any impact on the regular season competition.
Mm.
Like it's just a matter of the playoffs. You know, I think the biggest gripe, and I think Wade and I have talked about it a couple of times with the LeBron bubble title, isn't necessarily that it happened in the bubble. It was the fact that him and Davis were hurt, and they got to get healthy
They got to rest up.
because they got 2 months off before they started the bubble.
Oh yeah.
They
Right.
And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, in my opinion, them winning in the bubble, I think, was just everyone had the same opportunity. Like they were there, they won it fair and square. I don't think it shouldn't count or anything like that. But in that specifics, if it was a regularly played season, they wouldn't have won.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. LeBron was, older LeBron. You could tell at the end of seasons he would wear down a little bit. He was still very good, but he would show signs of fatigue, especially approaching the end of the playoffs. And Anthony Davis was hurt at the time, so he probably, there's a good chance they wouldn't have made it to the finals, but more or less win it. The bubble was a perfect scenario for like a 37-year-old LeBron or 36-year-old LeBron and an injury-prone Anthony Davis to sit and rest and then just go do a playoff run after resting for 2 months. I think that specific scenario is why they won the championship. Not that they were cheating or they did anything wrong.
Yeah, they didn't cheat.
But the insane scenario of the world closing down due to COVID just made it such a unique scenario. I think we got a result that we wouldn't have gotten in a regular season.
sure, but I mean, still living in reality, every team got 2 months of rest.
Yeah,
It still allowed every team the same advantage that the Lakers.
That's why I
got.
said they won it fair and square. But a 37-year-old and a 23-year-old, a 23-year-old doesn't need 2 months rest to win a finals. A 37-year-old probably does, because LeBron hasn't won anything since then.
Well, they can't even beat the Nuggets in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think what they did is there's anything wrong with it. I just think it benefited them, and there are other teams too that have a similar problem. I'm not saying they're the only team, but they're just the one that won, and I just think we might have gotten a different result if it was a regular played season.
You know who you can blame, Wade?
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
He touched all those mics.
Rudy. He hates Rudy Gobert.
Who doesn't?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't The bubble was just a weird topic, honestly.
I was just wondering, like we've talked about like strike years, like a couple. What was it, 90s MVP? We talked about one of them, like all their numbers being crazy because it was a shortened season.
Oh,
I just thought about like, are people going to talk about like Giannis is like they're like, but I guess since it's 72 games, it's pretty close to normal, I guess. So I don't know. So I feel like the regular season stuff's pretty much.
how many games did they play in '99?
58,
50.
55, 58. Something.
Or was it 52? There was one year it was 52, I think.
That sounds like that season.
Yeah.
I think it's 50 something.
Because we were looking at an MVP one time. We're like, this guy only played 48 games. This guy only played, and we're like, oh, yeah, it's the strike year.
Yeah, I think we decided to give Shaq that MVP.
Duncan's first championship is the strike short season.
Right, yeah, that's right.
It's Duncan's first title.
Yeah, and it's Malone's MVP.
Yeah, it's Malone's second MVP.
Second one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'll be honest, one of his MVPs, you know, Mark hates all of Carmelone's career accomplishments. I couldn't find anything wrong with the second with one of the MVPs. I can't remember which one.
I think it's his first one. I think the first one's legit.
And I'm just like, what the fuck's the problem? Like,
He's
we'll call
only
him 28 and 12. You know,
he just wants to give it to Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
you can give it to Michael any.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
All right, sorry, I got us off topic. I just wanted.
You did. It's all Drew's fault.
I just had to bring it up because I don't know.
So yeah, before we go on another tangent, somebody want to throw some Tatum and Brown stats on the board here?
I can do that real fast.
Yeah.
So 2024 season, regular season stats: Tatum put up 27, 8 and 5. Brown put up 23, 5 and 4. In the playoffs, they dropped a little bit. Tatum was 25, 10 and 6. Brown 24, 6 and 3. Tatum became more of a facilitator during the playoffs than a production scorer. Obviously, Brown shined a lot in that finals series that they played. This one is an interesting one for me too, even as a Celtics fan. Just because ever since we drafted Tatum and Brown, you look at it kind of like the Philadelphia process, and it was these guys that we drafted and grew and built, and I think that speaks more volumes than like pairing two guys together like a LeBron and Wade. You know, where you have to join two forces that are already formidable to make a power duo instead of through an organization putting two guys together that then grow into a power duo.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up putting them as my one. I am a Celtics fan, but I feel like in this 5-year span, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are clearly two overwhelmingly powerful duos, and there's not one guy that's better and lifting another guy up. It's two pretty much equal players
And
together.
at least the most consistent in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, they've been consistent for years. They've been making Eastern Conference Finals since LeBron was over there. I mean, their first one was when Tatum was a rookie. That one year, wasn't it? That LeBron's last year when he made that, was it
Something like that.
2018?
When
Six
they had
straight.
Isaiah Thomas and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was 2018 they made that one. I don't think they made it in 19, but I think they made it in the bubble, and then the rest of the years they've been playing for like the Heat every year.
Well,
And then this
throughout
last year, the Pacers, like they've been at the top of the Eastern Conference since they've both been around the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. When you talk about the 2020s, they've been contending or winning the championship pretty much every year. I mean, I think they had one year where they had an earlier exit in the playoffs, didn't they? Had one year.
Yeah, they had one year.
Second round exit. Yeah.
Yeah, but they've made the conference finals,
6 times.
yeah, together, but probably 2 or 3 in the 2020s, and then they obviously just won the actual championship this year. So they've not only won a championship, but they've been close most of the years of the 2020s. They both made All NBA teams, both made All Star games. They're both good defenders, both good offensive players. I liked them as a duo.
So they made another finals. They just fell a little short. They got a little tired in their first really long run. That was their first deep run to the finals. So
And you were talking about the Golden State.
yeah, the Warriors
Yeah,
year.
they
Yeah,
lost to them.
it took 6 games. It's not like they got swept or anything. So I mean, it was a respectable series.
They lost to a team that knew what they were doing in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah, a young
I mean,
team versus a very
I mean, Steph, Clay, and
experienced
Draymond.
championship
That was
team.
their 6th finals, 7th finals.
That was their swan song. That was their. No, it really was. I mean, that was their last great moment together. Really,
Yeah.
they, Steph stepped it up, and Steph kind of went nuclear and kind of just became the best player of the series, and Tatum and Brown just couldn't quite keep up, and
Tatum lost his legs in that series.
he did.
You watched him just clank everything off the front of the rim for like the whole second half of the series.
Yeah, but they came back and they got one.
Well, I mean,
I just got
They-
one. They
they-
dominated.
they
Yeah, I mean that was the other
This-
factor is you look at every other championship, and this Celtics one wasn't even close. They were 14 games ahead at the end of the season in the Eastern Conference. They were 7 games ahead of the Western Conference. I mean, they were clearly the most dominant. You can rag on them for having the easiest path to the finals or whatever because of injury, but
I mean, everyone was.
but the name of the game is staying healthy, and that's how you win championships. Is you stay healthy.
very
And
true.
you can't blame the Celtics because the other team is injured.
Right.
You can't.
I don't blame them, but I also won't be like, oh, I don't like talk about how dominant their run was because I'm like, they played like the five of us. Like that, by the end of the Cavs series, I was like, there's nobody left. Like the Cavs are toast.
And then
You know.
I can't really blame the Celtics on how many bonehead moves the Pacers made in 4 games, you know?
That was on the. They should have won a couple.
Yeah.
One of those games they blatantly blew. I'm trying to remember
The
which.
first one.
Was
when
it-
he
was
threw,
it
Yeah,
game
when
one?
you
he threw the ball out of bounds like a fucking bonehead.
When you lost that game, Ray, I'm like, well, that goes to series.
Yeah,
You just-
yeah, I
you just
did
said game
that.
1 in Boston. You could have easily.
Yeah, I was so fucking frustrated for 4 games.
Yeah, I think you and I were texting during that, and I was just like, oh,
I wish the Knicks could have stayed healthy because I really wanted to see the Knicks.
Yeah.
No offense, Ray, but I
No,
want to
don't
see the
blame
Knicks
you.
and the Celtics
No.
play in the Eastern
No.
Conference Final. 'Cause I think
That would have been a good series.
Here's my thing. I don't hate this Celtics team, but I did really want to see them get tested, and we never got to see that.
Right.
You know, like I don't remember who you all played in the first round, but first round series usually aren't good anyway. But
Play Miami.
Miami,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
without Butler, and then they move on to Cleveland, and who already was lost Jared Allen, and then Mitchell goes down.
like game 2.
And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then they played the Pacers, who I have nothing against, but the Pacers weren't even supposed to be there. I mean, they made a jump to get to the Eastern Conference Finals that nobody kind of saw coming. And, you know, the Knicks, like, decided to disintegrate in front of us.
Well, they all got hurt.
Like, all of them. Like,
I mean, yeah.
like it was worse than the Cavs.
I mean,
like,
Brunson and the Pacers played lights out game 7. 'Cause I remember watching it. I was actually on the way to Nationals for track. We were watching it in the car. And I was like, the Pacers were just the whole game. They were just lights out. Then Brunson got hurt. I was like, well, it's over. Pacers are gonna have to. I was like, yeah.
The Pacers were overpowered, but the Celtics did. I mean, obviously, when that many people get hurt when you play them, it helps you. But they did destroy everybody all regular season too, and they dealt with the Mavericks pretty easily. So I
They did.
mean, and their 2-star players were playing, and they destroyed them as well. So I
Yeah.
don't-
Well, Luca became a bitch all of a sudden and started crying every fucking call he could make.
no, that wasn't all of a sudden.
Holiday.
Yeah,
Adding Holiday.
Well, I mean, not all of a sudden, but I mean, it was a very dramatic increase in that series.
I mean, it might have, yeah.
I mean, I think the other piece too is like we didn't even need Porzingis.
Yeah.
Like add Porzingis to that team. I
So-
still don't think it would have been close in any of those.
So let me ask you this as a Celtics fan. I've not talked to a Celtics fan about this. What in the fuck are they doing with all this money? Like, they can't function. They're so far into the second apron. Sorry, like they signed like everybody on their team to these giant extensions.
They're becoming the Yankees.
Yeah, but like then as soon as the owner did it, he put the team up for sale.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't even want to pay it. Like he's like, oh, I can't do this.
They're gonna. I think they can get away with it. Though some other teams are trying to do similar stuff. You can. There's a couple, like a little loophole where you can get away with it for a certain matter of time, and then right before you get hit with like the first huge penalty of some of these new rules they put in, they'll start dumping players. So I think there's a couple other teams that'll have to do that too. They're not the only ones that'll. Well, the Warriors might be one, to be honest. They didn't make the
Well,
playoffs.
the Suns are.
Suns.
Yeah. Yeah, they got big contracts.
But I guess here's my
There's a
thing.
couple other ones.
The rule obviously isn't working. If you can have two $300 million players and then go out and sign $300 million players.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just starting lineup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand, and I don't know how it's gonna work for them.
Well, I mean, they'll have to start dropping people in a year or two. It's just a short period thing, probably.
We're also
They're in
seeing a weird time in contracts where
Yeah.
they're finding ways to move the money around that's in the contracts. I know it's not quite the same for NBA as it is for like NFL. You know, you see it with like Patrick Mahomes and how he restructures his deals and stuff like that. It's not quite the same, but there are similar types of things that you can do to help distribute that money differently so that it doesn't
Oh, yeah.
impact you as heavily. So I think we'll start, especially with how inflated the market is right now for the NBA. I think you're gonna start seeing more of these contract restructuring things that are gonna allow people to have some bigger contracts and retain people at the same time.
Yeah. When look at the Knicks, they have a plethora of giant contracts as well.
Yeah, but they don't have any of the gigantic contracts.
Yeah, they just signed Anunoby to over $200 million. Brunson was just under $200 million. Bridges is making what, $20 million a year.
Yeah, they were saying they were talking the other day that
They
like
gotta re-sign him
Brunson and Bridges combined don't make as much as I can't remember who it was. Don't make as much as somebody the other day. Like the Knicks signed a bunch of guys, but none of them have those none of them have the supermax. You know, like they're like rookie extensions, and like Brunson took like a huge discount. Like what was it, like $80 million discount?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. The NBA is weird right now because everybody, I mean, media, owners, players, everybody made such a huge deal about how the second apron was just going to change the NBA, and apparently it doesn't work. I don't know. Oh, anyway, we got off topic. So that's everybody's votes, right? Nobody has any left?
Yeah, this well.
So we have Giannis and Middleton, Joker and Murray, and Tatum and Brown. Yeah. And Joker and Murray are in.
Right.
Yeah.
Joker and Murray were unanimous, so they're in.
They're in.
I'll be
So
honest,
we're
I
just
was
trying to move
surprised they were
Giannis to the
unanimous.
Celtics. I mean, we're trying to get people from.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what it is?
We're not going to move 4 people to.
Oh, I might move 4 people.
That's
Well,
ridiculous.
You never know.
We can go to the
Maybe we
Sports.
need to talk about some other people.
Oh no.
Because up until last week, I always stuck with the 4-year rule, and that got thrown out.
Well, I mean, I
So-
couldn't use the 4-year rule in this.
Well, not if you talk about Luka and Kyrie. Because statistically, they blow Tatum and Brown away.
Ooh, okay. Let's hear this.
Oh,
story.
no.
It's 52-point total to 59-point total. 14-2 to 13-9 rebounds, so they're basically the same. 8 assists to 14 assists. But I threw them out because it's only 2 years.
Hold on.
I didn't follow. I didn't follow the 4-year rule this time because it's only 4 years.
Right.
So
But
I was
still
like,
tried
yeah.
to keep it up there.
So they got what, 2 years together?
Yeah, there's 2.
a year and 20 games.
And we're looking at numbers. LeBron and AD have 4 years in. 51-7 to 52-1, half a point. But 19 rebounds to 14 rebounds and 10.4 assists to 8. So statistically, LeBron and AD are better too.
When they're available.
Well, that's what they averaged over the 4 years.
Not bad.
And they won a title.
Well, that
That's-
title wasn't in. I didn't. That's why.
It's the 2020 title.
I don't know what the cutoff is. I don't know if we established that, did we?
It would be the 2020 because it would be the 2019
So-
2020 season, so that would
Well, it was
technically
in
be.
I might
19,
have picked
so
a
it's
different team.
No, it's 1920 season,
and,
so that
and
would
I
be.
know what we were doing.
So the Celtics and the Mavericks played each other 7 times last year.
Oh, let's hear
We're
it.
not picking the best team. We're picking the best duo.
Okay, and if the better duo was better, they'd win more games.
I don't know if that's
Not
true
necessarily.
because we just talked about the Celtics surrounded these two with a
Right.
really
They have
really
a
nice
lot
group.
more star players.
I mean, Holiday and White and Porzingis are nice.
And Porzingis didn't play 6 of those 7 games. 5 of those 7 games.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here. 'Cause,
I don't think that's a good comparison.
We've been changing the rules a lot and bouncing around on how we decide. So it's like, well, all right, maybe I'll change things a little bit too.
Okay. I like it.
I wish
like it a
Holiday
lot.
wouldn't have left because that's who I would have put Giannis with.
Yeah, see, I looked at that
Because I
too.
think Holiday's
too.
Holiday's a better running mate than Middleton
Yeah,
is.
but
I agree.
his numbers weren't quite as good as Middleton's. They only had 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holiday was the defensive monster as well.
Yeah, see, he's had like 3 all defense.
I think he should have got the
too.
defense player of the year for a guard instead of was it Marcus Smart that one year got it. I think Holiday should have won one
I think
instead.
Holiday's missed out on a lot of.
Nothing against Smart, but I think Holiday's just been a great defender for
I think it's
a while now.
I think it's a travesty that Drew Holiday doesn't have a defensive player of the year. I don't know what year
Yeah, 'cause he's
specifically,
good.
but
The
yes,
first part of his career, they weren't even letting him on the all defensive team.
yeah.
He was like there was got other NBA players talking about how he was their hardest matchup they'd played against. He wasn't even making the all defensive team.
yeah.
It's because he was on weird teams on the Pelicans and 76ers in the early parts of his career that weren't any good, and no one really paying attention to him.
I listened to somebody make the case the other day that Drew Holiday is a Hall of Famer, and when they first said it, I was like, that's pretty ridiculous.
No, it's a real
You know,
thing.
Like, but like if you compare him to other people that have made the Hall, Drew Holiday's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, he's got 2 titles now. He's
6-time All Defense.
yeah. He's got a gold medal. They would.
Yeah,
Yeah, two.
Oh, he's got 2. Yeah, the basketball Hall of Fame is not just your NBA career. They take everything in your career,
that's
like
true.
college, the Olympics, everything.
true.
So I would say he's going to get in, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, even as a Celtics fan, they opened the door once for a guard, in this modern era to get a defensive player of the year, and they give it to Smart. I think it is a travesty. I think Drew Holiday deserved that one for sure.
So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out. We don't need to drag this out. I know you'll outvote us, so.
Doug's like, damn it, 2 weeks in a row.
No, I
I
mean,
know.
I'll be honest with you. I told Drew outside when we were walking in. I was like, I refused to put Tatum and Brown on just because I wanted to piss David off. So
Well, I mean, Tatum and Brown were high on my list, but I went with, and I mean, if you look at the numbers, Tatum and Brown outscore them by 4 points, but Giannis and Middleton out rebound them by 2.5 and out assist them by 3, a little over 3.
I mean, I think what it boils down to is the Middleton Brown matchup because Giannis is clearly better than Jason Tatum, but
Brown's clearly better than Middleton.
and Brown is
It's Giannis's running mate.
Yeah.
Before this last year, you could say in the playoffs, Brown didn't really show up sometimes. Like if we had this conversation a year ago, it'd be a little bit different. Like, I mean, obviously not just the thought of like last year at this time, we didn't know if Brown was going to get extended or not. Right. We were making jokes about how he turned the ball over 8 times in a game 7.
He had this weird thing where he couldn't dribble.
Yeah, I know. I was
Yeah.
getting ready to say, yeah, he had a dribbling problem.
Yeah, like
I mean, him and Tatum both had growing pains throughout the years, but we got to watch them kind of learn all this stuff in the playoffs together.
Yep.
Because who was it? David or Drew said it earlier, something about how we talk about these teams who came together after their players were already in their primes, when they were already a polished product. We had to watch Tatum and Brown learn and develop together. And
watch them
now,
go through heartbreak.
They're really
and-
just now at the peak of their powers. They're what, 27, 28? This is their prime right
But you,
now.
honestly, you don't see teams like that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't see them go through heartache together and grow through it. You see some people through heartache leave. Like, how many different running mates has Embiid had while he's been in the league?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of guys like that. That was there. No one stays.
Yeah.
No one ever stays anywhere now.
No one wants to stick it out and try and look for things anymore. It's just
Yeah.
either win right away or let me go find another option until you're not good anymore, and then you're just stuck or you retire. It's kind of where we're at right now in the league.
Well, speaking of Embiid, how long do you think Embiid has out?
I think it's the Paul George experiment. If they lose in the second, they never make it past the second round. As long as Paul George is there, I think Embiid will leave. Why stay? What else you got? Who else are you gonna get?
They've tried everybody.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, at a certain point, maybe you just need to leave.
The amazing part about the Embiid stuff is, like you said, they've tried everybody, and everybody else takes the heat for the losses, and Embiid comes out scot-free every time.
Every
even though
time.
he is a complete and total no-show almost every time in the playoffs.
His
Or he's
stats do
injured.
go down. Yeah, and he's always hurt. Yeah.
Injured or
And they took him to the Olympics to stop Joker, and look how well that worked.
He was awful in the Olympics except for that one game.
Yeah.
They at certain points he rode the bench.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He didn't play for one
Right,
one
they just
whole
took
game.
him out.
They just
Yeah.
fed him.
Well, they said they were much more athletic and could do a lot more when they had Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo in there.
Yeah.
Embiid was just flopping on the ground all the time.
yeah,
He was
the
just falling
international
around.
refs aren't going to call the bull crap he gets
was
away
going
with
to call
here.
fouls, so
Yeah.
he was kind of worthless until he got his head out of his ass and started actually playing instead of trying to draw fouls.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic. For another time.
Indeed. Well, are we good, Uncle Doug? Yeah. Okay. So that would make our duos for the 2020s: Tatum and Brown and Joker and Murray. And we reserve the right to change it if something crazy happens in the second half of this decade. Somebody might rattle off 3 championships. You never know.
Never
Yeah,
know.
and this might not be Alex's list.
That's right. That's right. It's a reference to Blockbuster Bums. Check us out.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. All right. Well, let's move on to MVP talk. And this year's the MVP, this week's MVP that we chose
Speak of the devil.
will be the 2022-2023 Joel Embiid MVP.
We're gonna talk about this rascal.
And in this season, Embiid averaged 33 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a block on 54, 33, and 85. A very nice season.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
And Philadelphia won 54 games this season. So another nice win total, I guess. Not elite, but a nice win total. And Embiid played in 66 games, which is good for him.
Might be his career high, to be honest.
And number 2, coming off 2 previous awards, is Jokic, the Joker. He averaged 24, 11, and 9 with 1 steal on 63%, 38%, and 82%. And Denver won 53 games. And I believe Joker played everything. He played all 82 games. And no, he only played 69 games. I misspoke completely. And in third was none other than Giannis. So 3 guys we talked about this episode.
Yeah.
Giannis with 31 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, not quite a steal or a block, on 55, 27, and 64. And if we want to throw in another guy we talked about this episode, in 4th place was Jason Tatum at 30, 8 and 4, and a steal on 46, 35, and 85.
Interesting.
Luka's quite a ways down the list at 8. He averaged 32, 8, and 8 with a steal on 49, 34, and 74. But I do believe they had a losing record.
Was that him and Kyrie's first year together?
Yeah.
They missed the playoffs.
They missed the play. It is the play-in.
Yeah. Well, when they came together that first year, they had like the worst defense in the league. They gave up like 120 some points a game because they can't play defense.
Yeah, they went 38 and 44. And below Luka is Steph, who was 29, 6 and 6 with a steal, and 49, 42, and 91. And they were 44 and 38. So, no offense to Celtics fans, I think this is kind of a 3-man race.
Yeah.
I don't think Tatum is really on the par with his top 3 guys there, and I don't really think Luka or Steph is too involved either.
I have there's maybe a little bit off track, but kind of, I'm just curious. With as big and as dominant as Joel Embiid is, and with the way the NBA there's a lot more small ball being played off and on, so there's a lot more smaller lineups that get rolled out than what they used to do. With him being so ginormous and with there being less big men, how does he not ever average like 15 rebounds a game?
I know.
He only averages around like right at 10 usually. Like 10. I don't know if he's ever creeped up to like 11 or 12, but I feel like he's always around like just 10, which 10 is not bad. There's nothing wrong with averaging 10 rebounds a game. But for as big as he is and as good as he is, how does he not lead the league in rebounds every year?
He
Who's
like
a bigger freak of nature than Joel Embiid?
Right.
Well, he likes to stay at the 3-point line every once in a while, don't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes.
And he never follows his shot. He just
like
looks
I feel
for a
like,
foul all the time.
Like there's
Oh,
no
there
way
you
he
go.
shouldn't. He's like this. I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying, yeah. I mean, he should be down there banging, but
I just feel like he could destroy everyone on the boards, man.
I think I really do. I really believe it. I think a lot of things in Joel Embiid's career boil down to effort.
It might be. I just feel like there's no way that dude in today's NBA shouldn't be destroying the boards. I don't know. It's always bugged me.
Well, for
'Cause
like
he's a great
3
player,
years.
but I just feel like he could do even more.
Well, for like 3 years, he was part of a pity party. It was like, why didn't I get it? Oh, why didn't I get it?
He did complain a lot about the MVP for a little bit, but
He did.
I don't know. That's just always something that's stuck in my brain. I don't know why he doesn't rebound more, but
He shoots so many dang free throws.
he does. Well,
It's just wild. Which is just an NBA thing now, but
it's part of I think him and James Harden's problems throughout their careers in the postseason, because the referees swallow their whistles in the playoffs and they still keep trying to draw fouls. So in important situations, they dive into people and flop on the floor. Well, in the regular season, they're going to go to the free throw line. In the playoffs, the ball is just going to roll on the floor. The other team's going to pick it up and run down the floor with an advantage because you're laying on the floor.
they still call the playoff games pretty. They call them
Yeah.
better. I'm not gonna say they're the best they could be, but they're better than the regular season shenanigans that happen.
Yeah, they've cleaned it up a little bit. I just think I don't know. He's just, he's
Yeah,
goofy.
this Olympics, if nothing else for Embiid, should have just been a wake up call. Like,
Yeah.
bro, sometimes you just need to take your shoulder, put it through somebody's chest, and dunk the damn basketball.
Yeah, I mean, as
And-
big as he is,
Yeah.
it's like, come on.
There's like barely any centers left in the league. If you're not playing Joker or Rudy or who am I missing?
AD maybe.
Yeah, maybe AD or Bam, but they're both significantly smaller than him too.
Bam's a power forward and most standard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. But if you're not playing Joker or Rudy, just take your shoulder, slam it into their chest, and dunk on somebody. Like probably like 10 times tonight. You know,
He's what, 7'2"?
I think so. Yeah.
7'2", probably well over 300 pounds. I mean, he's
he's
not as big as Shaq got to at a certain point, but he's bigger than like Orlando Shaq.
Oh yeah, he's big.
Orlando Shaq was yakking on everyone and just going through everyone.
When he had
Joel Embiid's like a mixture of fat Shaq and skinny Shaq.
when he had 4 Hall of Famers when he was in Orlando, he was dominating. Like, why can't he do it when he'll only see maybe one every once in a while? The other two in the Western Conference.
Like when
He
you're
doesn't
standing
see
there-
anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. Like if Kevon Looney's there, fucking dunk on him, man. That's all I'm saying. Just power through. Or Sabonis.
And Looney's
like
a
6'8".
Looney's a rebounding machine. And look how big he is.
Yeah, it's something.
There's a lot of guys smaller than Joel Embiid out rebound, like Sabonis. What's Sabonis? You think 6'8", 6'9"?
And outside of this era, he'd play power forward.
Yeah.
He wouldn't play center. Yeah.
And he averages
He'd probably be a smaller.
he averages
power
what,
forward than
13,
center.
14 rebounds a game?
And this season we're talking about, he averaged 12, but I think he just had a big rebound
I
season.
think he just led the league in rebounds for the second time in a row this
Yeah,
past season.
I think so, yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think
he did.
average like
He had-
14.
He averaged 13 this last
Because
year.
he was a double-double machine.
He is.
He's kind of like a Kevin Love.
Oh, he
right
was
now.
he was 19, 13, and 8 this last year.
That's pretty nasty. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, if the Kings ever do anything, Sabonis and Fox could be a nasty duo.
Sabonis' big thing is he's terrible defensively.
Because he's so undersized. If you're going to play him at center and the other team has any resemblance of a real center, he's at an extreme disadvantage. Extreme. But they don't have a talented big guy to play with them that doesn't ruin his game. So
They need a guy. They need a shot blocker that can shoot threes.
They need a Miles Turner.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No,
You know, I
I'm good
will-
now. Don't. I'm not.
Oh, we're good now, right?
Yeah, we're good now.
It's been a while
I will-
since we've talked about it.
I will say this.
Old Miles.
This is one of the Sabonis trade for Indiana.
Yeah.
Is one of those rare trades where it worked out for both teams.
That's true, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, Halliburton's now the face of their franchise.
Yeah,
Sabonis,
And it's worked out for
along
him.
with Fox, is carrying the Kings. So,
Mhm.
you know, it is a very good trade. We got way off base. I'm sorry. I really started
Are
a
you
Joel
okay?
Embiid shit show here.
Sometimes this can be the therapy room, and we can kind of talk out our differences.
I just don't know why he doesn't rebound. It pisses me off. But anyway,
Well, I think this really boils down to like Joel Embiid won the scoring title. He averaged 33 points a game here. But like Jokic has like over any big. We're talking about 3 big men. Over any big man, Jokic has an advantage in assists. Obviously. But Joker was so damn efficient in this season. 63%, Well, we're talking about a guy that shoots 4 or 5 threes a game. He still shot 63%.
Yeah.
That's a
Hey.
pretty phenomenal
He was in the high 30s in 3-point shooting.
38. Yeah,
That's pretty damn good that's good for a shooting guard or a center.
yeah.
And he doesn't turn the ball over all that often.
Yeah.
Like for as much as like he handles the ball, like passes all the time, his turnover rate's not that high.
What would y'all say if I said that Giannis had a better argument to be the MVP that year than Embiid? Do you think that'd be outlandish, or do you
No.
think that'd be accurate?
No, I
No.
believe I said on this pod that I would have voted for Giannis this year
I believe I also said that year.
because I think the argument for Giannis is that he was in the middle. He doesn't win the scoring title, but he's only
2 points
just 2
away.
points away, and then he out rebounds them, out assists them. He's a much better defender than Embiid just on his face value, and he's just slightly more efficient from the field, but he's lesser in the other two spots. But his team had the best record in the NBA.
I mean, you briefly touched on it, but my kind of point is he can score right up there with Embiid. He
Yeah.
can pass better than Embiid, not quite to Jokic, but he's still a great passer. He can rebound better or just as good as both. He out rebounds Embiid almost every year, and him and Jokic's rebound numbers are almost identical. He is a much better, more versatile defender than both of them.
Oh yeah,
Embiid can be a monster in the paint when he feels like it, but half the time he's not in shape, or he's hurt, or he's not trying.
which I mean, the last couple of years has been a problem for Giannis. He's been hurt when the playoffs roll
Yeah.
around the last couple of years.
That's true.
And that year when he was the number 1 seed, they lost in the first round of the Heat.
Well, me and Ray have said this, and you all kind of threw it back on our face when we brought it up. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Said what?
About Giannis failing in the playoffs. Me and Ray have talked about this a couple of times,
Yeah.
and you all kind of fought back against us the entire time.
He was hurt. Like I think the argument's
Yeah.
over now. Like if he's not there, he's gonna lose. Like yeah, you're right.
No, he has like 6 playoff failures, and no one acknowledges them. That's kind of the key. Like, and yes, he's starting to get hurt at the same age other stars started getting hurt, and we shit on them. And now he's done it multiple years in a row, and we're still not acknowledging it. It happens.
It's starting to look bad.
It is. He has lots of playoff.
We're
failures
starting
that
to
no
get
one talks
we're
about.
starting to get past his income in the
Supposed to be
league.
rattling off titles, not losing in the first round.
He's been here long enough where we're getting past his little when he came in stage 1, 2 MVPs,
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year, a title, a Finals MVP. We're starting to get past that.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything since.
Once you win a championship, there's no more. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no more giving excuses. You've been there, you've done it. You've
Once
got the
you-
championship. There's no more excuses for why you can't.
They've
Get
kept a good roster around him.
Yeah.
It's not like the rest of the team just left after
Well-
the championship.
Well,
I
he's
mean,
kind of turned into LeBron, where he just wants to get,
Back to
to build a super team with another a crazy megastar with Dame instead of just keeping the team like he had, which was working, except for the point where they were injured, and not just giving up on it, where they just should have stuck with it because they had Middleton, they had Holiday, they had a good core, but instead of keeping the core, he wanted to go mainstream like LeBron and bring in another mega all-star, and it just
Yeah.
didn't work out.
Well, we all expressed how much we like Drew Holiday,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
but Dame
Yeah.
is-
I thought that was a steal when the Celtics got him. I'm like, they already have a
Celtics
good,
got him.
they already have
Yeah.
they already have a great defense, and now there's an even better defender.
Yeah, he's awesome.
he is. Yeah, him playing on the Celtics was huge for the Celtics.
Well, I mean,
It just takes the defensive load off of your 2 offensive scorers. They don't have to guard the best guy. You have to have Holiday do it. They can save
Yeah.
pressure on the offense end of the court.
Holiday just does so much for your team that, like, he might not average 28 points a game. That's what people gravitate to, but he does a lot for a team that helps you win, and sometimes that's more important than just scoring.
well, he was brought in to replace Marcus Smart, and he's a better Marcus Smart.
better than Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
He's most definitely better.
I mean, it was an upgrade on their behalf, and
Well, I think that was the devastating part about the Holiday Lillard trade. It wasn't. It was. I mean, it was going to be felt in Milwaukee that they lost Holiday, but then he ended up on like one of their biggest rivals,
Yeah.
and not because not like they decided to trade him to Boston. Like Portland turned around and ended up shipping him to Boston, and it's like, ooh, that's not going to turn out well. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like things just got kind of wacky for the Bucks after their championship. Middleton started having weird injuries. Now Giannis is getting hurt. They got rid of Drew and swapped him out for Lillard. Now they can't guard anybody on the perimeter. It's like, yeah, you got rid of the best perimeter defender and got one of the worst.
One,
Like
one of these years, Brooks Lopez is gonna fall off the map.
he's what 37.
That's what I'm saying. One of these years, he's gonna stop producing what he's doing because they're getting.
Yeah. They've had weird performances in the playoffs, even when they are healthy. Sometimes it's just been weird. I don't know what it is.
Bobby Porter shows up some nights. Other nights he's fighting guys.
Like the one year, like I
He
don't
didn't
know.
get hurt. He gets thrown out.
Yeah, Bobby Porter doesn't get hurt. He gets thrown out. He'll end up fighting.
Bobby
I
Porter
think
is-
their coaching situation too plays into that.
Yeah, they got rid of Budenholzer for no reason.
Well, they hired the Griffin guy because Giannis told them to, and then Giannis got him fired 25 games in the season, or whatever it was. And then Giannis, they said, refused to do what Griffin said after the fourth game. So he just started ignoring his coach after the fourth game.
I mean, that's a LeBron move.
It's like,
Yeah, it is.
And then got him fired, what was it, like 40, 50 games in the season?
Yeah, and they had a good record. It was like what 37.
Yeah,
That's
they were
Doc
dominating.
Rivers.
what I'm saying. They were like 37. What, like
top
15 or something? Yeah.
But no one talked about Giannis getting the coach hired and fired in the same season like they do everybody else. I don't know.
No.
You know what they do talk
Except
about?
for Ray.
The Pacers. Wait, the Pacers stealing Giannis's ball.
But we didn't steal it.
Conflict.
We did not steal the basketball. Their assistant coaching staff, whatever, grabbed the ball.
The evidence did come out.
It did come out.
Evidence
They
came
showed the
out.
video later on
Yeah.
ESPN, and then Giannis got so.
After I got clowned for
It
a
was
week and a
actually Buck's
half.
fault. Ray was actually right. We didn't really find out about the whole thing until later on.
I
but Ray
can be
was
biased,
right,
guys. I can be biased.
I was dying. He's like, they
actually.
stole my ball.
We got way off track again.
No, like
Fuck it. you
there's
can
a
do
little
it.
bit of a backstory to this, David. Like we were sitting recording when the whole ball thing happened. We were watching the game with it muted, and like it went on, and like we talked about it on air, like I think 2 or 3 different times. Oh yeah. And like it did. It turned out to be Ray was right, but then it turned out to be Ray hates Giannis, and he hates him so much. He had this whole thing where he tried to convince us that Giannis sucks at basketball.
Yeah, we had a pretty big argument that one day.
Yeah, I crazy.
Oh, it was a text message, and it got
It was-
fired.
That did get wild.
It was
Yeah.
it was in text messages, and I'm like looking at this, going, "Is Ray on drugs?" Like Ray is trying to convince me that Giannis sucks. It was like I was like, Ray, I understand you don't like him, but like that doesn't make him bad at basketball.
No, and
Like
and it might have sounded like I said he sucked, but he doesn't suck. It's just he's peaked. Like he's got 2 MVPs and all defensive, and it went like this, and then it just peaked out. And he hasn't gone anywhere. If it was injuries or something else, whatever, it just he hasn't went up anymore. It's just kind of balanced out.
all right.
But I did put him on my top 75, so I mean I can't hate him that much.
Yeah. I mean, I still think he's still one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
He's had some shortcomings that get ignored that other people
It's just
don't
I
think.
get the smell of LeBron on his jersey and just want to throw up.
We gotta let it go.
Oh shit!
So who thinks Embiid keeps it?
I don't know. This, to me, it's kind of close.
I think the other thing we didn't actually bring up on air is if Joker wins it, that's 3 straight for Joker,
That's true.
and now 4 consecutive.
Yeah, that would make
Are
it
you-
4, wouldn't it?
So
In a row.
you know, does that play a part in why? You know,
Like I
I'm-
said,
I mean, it definitely
Hold on.
played a role in why he didn't win.
Yes.
that's what I said at the time. I said at the time, just like last week when I talked about LeBron, they weren't gonna give him a third one in a row.
So do you think we should factor that in?
Well, I'm just saying. I think I'm
Power.
kind of retreating back to my argument last week about, you know, while the NBA is game, it's also entertainment, and
So I think you're 100% right.
you know,
I'm just
are they
trying to-
really going to do that, where they're going to give Jokic 4 MVPs in a row? And
Well, I think that's why Embiid did win. I think
I
isn't that
think
kind of what you were
had
hitting at.
yeah, you just have
Yeah,
to supplement
like-
somebody else in there to not allow Jokic.
You have to
get
do
that.
something truly amazing, I think, for them to keep giving them to you repeatedly. And I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know how to factor that into this discussion, like, because what you're saying is definitely true. That's happened throughout the history of the NBA. You know, people talk about it all the time with Jordan and LeBron about how they should have got this MVP and that MVP. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. I read that article about how that guy
Yeah.
thought Jordan should have got all three of Magic's or something.
But they
Like-
like the good story.
Yeah,
Right.
Like the D Rose one,
Well,
or
It's like wrestling. You got to create a new storyline at some point. You just
people
can't
will
keep
get bored,
going
even though
on.
it's your top player in the league or one of your top players. People get bored of the same person winning it over and over.
That's
Yeah.
true. And right now, the last couple seasons, the NBA has really tried to push the Embiid Joker rivalry on us.
that's true.
even though Embiid won't play every time they go to fucking
Right.
Denver.
And B's
Yeah.
been complaining and complaining and
Yeah.
complaining about it. So they finally gave him one to shut him up.
He did bitch fight 2 years in a row to get.
And then
yeah.
Kendrick Perkins came out and
Oh my god!
was a big
Yeah.
he
turd
made
for.
himself just look silly.
Talking about 5
That's all I'm
points a
gonna say
game,
about it.
Perkins.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, not to go down a huge rabbit hole, but I think what's always irked me about MVP discussion is there's never clear parameters on what designates
Yeah.
an
Right.
MVP.
Right.
That's what creates all
Exactly.
the
And we just
arguments.
move the goalpost every year to meet some agenda of what we think an MVP
Yeah.
should be.
Whoever we want
this
to
year
win.
was scoring, and it's like you get a scoring title. Like we already have an award for that.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
MVP equal scoring title? Does MVP mean the best player on the best team in the league? Does MVP mean uplifting a team that shouldn't make it, but because you have this
Yeah.
person, they're a great overall team? I think that's what irks me about MVPs most years is that there's just not a clear parameters as far as what is an MVP.
It's people's opinions. Yeah. Well, because I think like when we were in the last episode, actually, we kind of touched on it. Like a couple of those guys had a little bit better stats than D Rose, even though Derrick Rose had really nice stats. What was it, like 25, 4, and 8 or something, or
Something
7
like that, yeah.
But their individual values to their teams also aren't the same. I think Derrick Rose and what he meant to the Bulls, and if he didn't score a bunch, they were just never going to win. Like I said with LeBron, not that I'm not insulting LeBron, he was just on a team that had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. So if he didn't score, there's a huge difference there.
That is, yeah.
The Heat would still probably be a great offensive team if LeBron didn't score. If Derrick Rose didn't score, the Bulls weren't going to score more than 75 points in a game. They weren't built to do that.
At the end of the game, they needed him to
huge-
drive to the basket.
Yeah.
They weren't going to ask Boozer or Dang to do some post-up move. They gave the ball to D Rose and said, "Go get us a bucket."
And he carried their offense to the best record in the league that year. I
Guys,
think that was a
you're
big
completely
deal.
overlooking the offensive skills of Joakim Noah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really do think Dwight had a good argument that year because he's a hugely important part of his team as well, anchoring their defense and being a big offensive weapon and stuff like that. So I think that's a logical argument too. But I don't know. That's just another, I think, angle to look at it. Not everyone has the same value on their own team. It's just
Well, I think that's something that's interesting with the Joker Giannis. Like when we were talking about duos, and now we're talking about MVPs and everything. Is Joker and Giannis are the first guys that are like really working their way up the all-time lists that and winning that don't play with a superstar. Like everybody has teamed up over the last quite a while. You play with another superstar, and neither one of those guys are. As much as we talked about Jamal Murray, he's not a superstar.
no.
And neither is Holiday or Middleton. Or neither one of them are superstars. So it's an interesting thing to look at that they both have championships now and they both have these MVPs, but they're not playing with superstar. I mean, I guess Giannis, played with Lillard last year, so that may change that. But
But he still got a chip without Lillard.
he did, yeah.
Yeah, he got it without him.
So
So
I mean,
Yeah.
I think your point's still valid. Yeah. Well, I think especially here in the past handful of years, it's shown that sometimes staying where you're at and building camaraderie and building a team is more beneficial than just going and buying a team. Because there's still a lot more components that go into being a great team than just being talented. There's a lot more that goes into it. I think that's shown a lot over the past handful of years when everyone tried to form a super team, and 90% of them have blown up in their face because there's a difference between being a team and just being a bunch of guys that all make a bunch of money. You know, like you have to fit together. You have to play with. You have to find a system that works for you. You have to have the right role players that feed off of your star players the right way. Like the star players' games have to match up well so they can feed off each other. Like it, you can't just buy championships. So I think
Right.
Jokic and Giannis winning those championships without being on a super team, I think, was a good reminder to the rest of the NBA that you don't have to form a super team to win.
Yeah,
you,
and it was-
you can still do things the right way.
What do you think's the easiest sport to buy a championship?
Ooh,
To
that's
buy
a good.
one?
Yeah,
That's a good
of the
question.
three sports we talked about, which one do you think's the easiest to like buy players in free agency and say, hey, we're going all in this year, like trading and like what's the easiest one do you think of the three?
Basketball, just because there's less players and the most money.
I'm trying to think how to. It's been going on longer in baseball. I mean, the Yankees have been doing it for years, but it might be easier in basketball.
Yeah, because
I feel
we've
like it
seen
happens so
in
frequently in basketball, while baseball has been happening so much longer, but it's not as common.
And you can't do it in football.
and we
Yeah.
and we've seen in baseball where the Mets have bought a whole like
Well,
all
there's been a lot of
star.
failures at it.
Or it just doesn't work.
We're kind of watching a failure this year. The failure we talked about like half an
Yeah.
episode earlier. The Dodgers are not doing what they're supposed
Yeah.
to be doing.
No.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. Their pitching staff is already kind of looking a little thin.
No, I think it's
I would agree,
basketball
yeah.
because one player can completely change a franchise in basketball.
Yeah.
And if you go out and decide I'm going to pay 2 or 3 guys massive amounts of money, you're going to be in contention. Like you're just going to be. So I think it's basketball.
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah.
true. Yeah. It's probably the easiest one.
That's the easiest one, yeah. I was wondering because we talk about it. And I was just
Yeah.
yeah.
Football is slowly getting more. Some of the player movement in the past couple of years is starting to resemble a little bit more of the NBA. All these people trying to demanding their way out of this and that, and starting to actually get what they want. And players are starting to gain more power in the NFL as they did quite a while ago in the NBA. So we're starting to see more of that crap.
It is, unfortunately. But at least in the NFL, it does seem to be like only superstars. It's
Yeah.
not just some random Joe Smo that can do whatever they want like in the NBA
Yeah.
at this point. Well, should we get back on topic here, guys? Should we say who we think is the
Yeah, I think we're at vote time, aren't we?
yeah.
You want to write them down or just say who you think?
Let's just say it this time because the boards are too far away. I think I'm gonna stick with my original saying. I think I give it to Giannis.
I'll go with Giannis.
Giannis or Joker? I don't either. I'd probably go with Giannis.
I think I have to agree, Giannis.
I go with Giannis.
I think I give it to Joker for a fourth time.
Well, yeah, you can make a logical Joker argument.
This was kind of a bad episode for Embiid.
In all reality, he had a pretty great season, but it just, I don't know.
Playoffs, his totals go down by like his points go
Yeah.
down like 10, and his rebounds go down like 3 or something. It's something crazy.
Well, I think wasn't it that season he averaged like 33, 34 points a game, and then in the postseason he averaged like 23 or 24.
Yeah.
So it really did go down.
And
by
Harden
about
wins
10
one.
points per game.
Harden wins a game in Boston by himself.
Yeah.
Right.
He won 2.
Yeah, he won 2 games by himself, but he won that game 1 in Boston, which I'm like, there's no way they're gonna go back
Yeah.
to Philly without.
Because he won that, and then because he won like game 3 too when he went
Yeah.
off, and then Embiid came back and they still
They lose
lost
the series in 7. Yeah.
Those are the Celtics, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the second round.
Yeah.
He averaged 25, 9,
Well, couldn't be past the
9
second
and
round,
2.
Wade.
So his points go down, his rebounds go down, his assists go down.
His points went down by what, 8 or 9?
8.
8 points. It's understandable if your points maybe go down by.
And he only shoots
Point or
42% from the field.
Ooh.
42, 20% from 3,
So he's.
What was his
Wow.
free throw percentage?
88.
Okay,
That's so good.
that's about normally where he's at. Yeah. They stopped calling free throws. He doesn't get his free throw points no more.
Apparently he quits rebounding when he doesn't get his free throws too.
Yeah, because he's complaining.
There's no way he should average 7 or 8 rebounds a game during a series ever. I don't know.
This might be a stretch too, but you can almost apply some of that same logic that surrounded that LeBron MVP that we talked about last time. You know, When you surround yourself with great players, it almost dilutes your value.
In certain perspectives, yeah. I
And
think
so I don't know why we couldn't apply that same logic to Embiid in his MVP run, because he did. I mean, it wasn't him leaving and going somewhere, but his team was still surrounded by a lot of talent, and I think that dilutes your value a little bit. And
Yeah.
we already talked about Giannis and Joker, having teams that weren't surrounded by a bunch of superstars. So
it's true. Because in this season, he would have had Harden and Maxey and Tobias Harris with him, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
That's a pretty nice squad, really.
Hey, Doug, what was that crazy LeBron Lakers team where he got so desperate he started getting like Carmelo Anthony and like Dwight Howard?
Where are we going?
Yeah, when he was GM there
Yeah.
for a while.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, he was bringing in
Oh, and
everybody.
Westbrook.
Yeah, Westbrook.
He denies that one now, Drew. That one wasn't him anymore.
Yeah.
It was all him, Wade. It's been all him. No. LeBron didn't do nothing. Whatever. When it goes bad, it's not him. But if it would have worked out, he would have taken all the credit.
Yeah.
Just remember, LeBron, I'm holding receipts, bitch.
You never know. LeBron and Bronny might make
You're
the
getting
list.
more volatile towards LeBron as time goes on.
Yeah.
I will.
No kidding. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our MVP discussion for today. And I just want to shout out a reminder for the upcoming tournament next week, and then after that, us moving on to football, where we'll be talking about again the 7-on-7 teams for each franchise,
And we're doing what? Offense and defense?
offense and defense.
Yes.
Correct, Mundo. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.